All right, we are so excited to be here tonight for our Healthy Together time, and we just welcome all of you wherever you're coming from, whatever point you are in your journey. If you are just exploring and you don't really even know what this program is about, we're going to tell you some more tonight. And specifically, we're going to be talking about ways to make healthy eating simple. But before we kind of get into that, I just want to do a little review of what our program entails. And if this might be all new, if you're just kind of exploring tonight, or you may be somewhere along your journey on one of our programs. And all of our programs utilize all four of these components that we're going to go over here. So while I'm going over them, I want you to evaluate kind of where you are in utilizing all of these and just kind of have that reminder that each one is like 25% of what helps you to be 100% engaged in the program. And that's what leads to success. So the first component that we have as part of our Optavia program is having an independent Optavia coach. So for me, after years of trying a million different things, I had never had just a friend that I knew was going to care about me and reach out to me and just help keep me accountable and then connect me to all the amazing resources that we had. And that's what our independent Optavia coaches do. The second component of our program is our Habits of Health transformational system that Dr. Wayne Scott Anderson put together for us. And this is really what we always say, this is what makes those healthy habits tick. We are trying to help everyone get out of that diet mentality and diet mindset and really working on habits, creating habits that are going to stick with you for life. And so that's what our Habits of Health transformational system does. It really helps you work on your mindset and making those mental shifts that you need to have that long-term success. And then the third thing right here is our Optavia community. And kudos to you for jumping on this webinar tonight or listening to the playback through the podcast app. And that the community is one of the biggest parts of our program that really helps people gain that support. Not everyone has people at home encouraging them or helping them to stay the course. But when you get connected to the community, it just really gives you that added support that you need to make it all the way through your journey. And then the last part we're going to be talking more about is our nutrition piece that really helps people be successful in possibly getting weight off to start with, but then to establish simple habits that are going to keep you healthy for the rest of your life. So tonight, we're going to be talking about healthy eating made simple. So I want you to put a me in the chat if you have ever felt overwhelmed or frustrated or maybe even scared of all the vast amounts of information about what's healthy and what's not healthy and how to put it all together and have it all available when life gets super busy and stressful, right? That was me. That was so me. I see a lot of me's coming up in the chat. So tonight we want to equip you with some knowledge that will empower you to maybe think about that being less frightening and just more simple and fun. So I don't know if you can relate to any of those pictures right there, but I kind of had fun finding those. So we want you to shift into thinking that healthy eating can be simple. It doesn't have to be scary. But here's something that is kind of scary. It's some statistics that come from the CDC. And so the CDC has reported that more than 2 in 3 adults are overweight, and half of those are considered obese. Worldwide obesity has nearly tripled since 1975. And most of the world's population lives in countries where being overweight or obese kills more people than being underweight. So those are kind of scary statistics, and it's kind of at epidemic proportions now. People are hurting and people need solutions. People want to feel better, but people are stressed and having a hard time just keeping up with life. So I want to share a little bit about my story. My name is Lauri Warren, and I'm an independent Optavia coach, and I've been coaching for over 5 years, almost 6 years now. In fact, it was 6 years ago, I think today, that I started this program. And I just love looking at this picture right here, where you can see my Halloween costume several years ago when I was dressed up as a bread baker. And I just, looking at this picture, I kind of go back to the feelings that I had there. And I had kind of lost who I was at that point. I was a mom and I loved being a mom, but I had kind of lost that little spark inside me of who I felt like I was. And I had spent a lot of years really feeling frustrated and overwhelmed with trying to figure health out. And I felt like I had tried every combination of nutrition and exercise to look and feel healthier. But I finally just decided, it was just my genetics. I had been dealt a bad hand, and that I just kind of, needed to make peace with that. And I just kind of gave up. I just felt like my body and my metabolism were broken and that I was different than most people. So I'd gotten to a place where I was shrinking back from living my life fully, and just was either tired or just didn't want to be around people because I didn't feel confident about myself. But when I found this program, I felt like I had been handed a key to unlock all of those problems and that bad genetic hand that I had been dealt, and learn that with just a little bit of information and tools and support, that I could break that cycle. And I love looking at the second picture of me. That was a couple of years ago at another Halloween party where I got to dress as my best 80s girl self and just felt confident and excited to be there. And I think I danced all night. It was so much fun. So I'm going to turn the time over now to my dear friend Kat, who's going to share a little bit more. And Kat, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Thanks so much, Lauri. I love hearing your story and seeing your wonderful pictures. You had me at dancing too. I almost actually said that off mute. That's funny. So here at Optavia, we are about creating long-term health. As you heard, Lauri is coming up on, just had her 6-year health anniversary. And that is so cool to think about. This is not just a quick fix, you guys. Diets don't work unless you change this. So 85% of diets fail within 2 years, which means we gain our weight back. If we diet, if we have a diet mentality, then we gain our weight back because we're just doing something for a time. We're trying so hard to just fix something the fast way. And there's 1,012 ways to lose weight, right? But we want to do it the healthy way. We want to change. We want lifelong transformation, one healthy habit at a time. Weight loss is actually just one step of this process. And I'm going to share a little bit of my story with you, if that's okay. So first, I will talk to you about this little plant behind me. It's actually right here. I kill plants. I have what people call a black thumb. And I've had a lot of people say, oh, your house would be so nice with some fresh plants. I have fake plants, but people have said to me, have you ever thought about real plants? And I'm like, yeah, I kill them. So it was really funny because one day I was talking to a friend and she's like, okay, you have to get a snake plant. It's the easiest thing to keep alive. Anyone in the world can keep a snake plant alive. And I was like, okay. So I went to IKEA and I got my little friend this snake plant, and I called my friend and I was like, okay, I got my snake plant. What do I do? And she's like, don't overwater it. Whatever you do, don't overwater it. And she said, just fill it every week. And if it's all the way dry, stick your finger in all the way dry, then give it water. And I was like, okay, I can do that. So my plant started having issues. You guys, I'm not kidding. Like nobody can kill a snake plant, but I can. And I was making it so much more difficult than I needed to be. And really all I needed to do was just trust the process, that my friend was right. And I overwatered because I was like, oh, maybe it feels a little bit wet, but I could add more water. And I got gnats and I had to deal with all that, but we're okay now because I learned how to follow directions. And this is the same thing that happened with my health. I used to overcomplicate everything. And I was writing plans for myself to lose 10 pounds. And then I would just I'd lose 10 pounds and then I'd go back to the way because it was just a quick fix and it wasn't very healthy. I made things so hard. I made so much food for myself, trying to meal prep and things that I ended up throwing away because I was just trying to make things so hard. And I have just celebrated my 10-year health anniversary. I started in September of 2012. And it was in September, so it's been a month now, but by mid-October, I was down 20 pounds. And I seriously was like, I can't believe how simple this is. You guys, anyone can do this program, just like anyone can keep a snake plant alive. And we just want to help you understand that it doesn't always have to be hard. And sometimes in the beginning, we're like, whoa, we're changing a lot of things. And it's hard and you're uncomfortable. And you're like, can I actually do this for my whole life? Like, really? But when you stop and realize, just do the steps, just trust your coach, just learn the things, dive into all 4 components of the program that Lauri talked about. And I promise that you will find the transformation, not only on the outside. If you could see my transformation in here, you would die. Because honestly, it is so much bigger than what you see on the screen. And I love that Amber put in the chat right now, nobody expects perfection. My weight has still gone like this a little bit, but instead of going up and down and crazy, like a roller coaster for years and years and years, I'd lose 20 pounds and then gain 30 and then lose 15 and gain 10. And you guys, it's simple. And we want to help you keep it simple.
So one of the ways we want to help you is just to share some knowledge about the underlying principles behind what you are learning. As if you are on a program, following a weight loss program right now, you may not even realize that you're learning these principles, but you are. And they're things that we want you to take going forward for the rest of your life. And it's going to help you make eating much more simple than you probably think it's going to be. So a really cool thing is that a study was done several years ago that kind of debunked the myth of eating 3 square meals a day. We kind of grew up on that, right? This was done at the University of Toronto, and they took a group of people and divided subjects into 2 groups. Both groups ate exactly the same foods with exactly the same number of calories and portions, but one group ate their food divided into the usual 3 meals a day, and the other group divided their meals out, consuming lots of little meals throughout the day. And so the results were that the group who ate small meals throughout the day lost more weight. And they also observed some other benefits. They lost weight because their blood sugar didn't continually spike and then dip down to even lower levels the way it does after a big meal. We're going to be talking more about that in a minute. Also, it controlled their hunger. And I would have to add in there, it controls your moods when you don't allow yourself to get to that hangry place. My family deals with that a lot. When you start fueling yourself throughout the day, it keeps that hanger at bay. Then it also reduces blood insulin, which is a factor in fat storage and inflammation. It lowers total cholesterol levels. It reduces your LDL, your bad cholesterol, and then reduces fluctuation and satiety, so keeping you full. So all of our programs utilize this science of eating 6 times a day, and it is seriously a game changer. That was the thing that broke the cycle for me. So Kat, I'm going to ask you to explain a little bit more about the typical American diet and what we're shooting for.
This is what the diet, what most of us look like our diets look like before Optavia. I don't know about you guys, but I drank a lot of calories, and you can see the baseline glucose and the baseline insulin, and then blood glucose and insulin on this chart, right? We want everything to be right around that baseline. Well, when we get up and we haven't eaten anything all day, all night, because we've been asleep, a lot of us have something high sugar, pancakes, orange juice, and it spikes our blood sugar like crazy. And our insulin response is off the charts. Then a couple hours later, maybe we have a bagel, also gonna high in sugars. Maybe we don't realize that. Burgers and soft drinks, candy bars, and then a big meal at dinner because we're hungry. This is what the normal American diet looks like. And people might even say, oh, well, I eat 5 times a day. Yeah. I was doing 100 ounces of Dr. Pepper a day before too. And I remember the day before I started, well, it was 3 days before, because it was a Friday. I started on a Monday. I literally remember sending a picture of a giant Dr. Pepper, fully leaded. I call non-diet, fully leaded, with a king size Reese's Pieces hanging over the top at 10 o'clock in the morning, and said to my friend, I texted it to my friend and said, I can't figure out why I can't lose weight. Totally kidding, of course, but that was why I was trying a new program, right? I was trying something, and that's what my life looked like. And I thought because I was active, I could work it off, but you cannot run your fork. Can you go to the next slide? This is what we're teaching, and what Lauri was talking about is when we have a low glycemic breakfast, something protein carb balanced, smaller portions, look at all of those the baseline insulin and the baseline glucose, and our insulin response isn't crazy. You guys, this is a big deal. And as you can see, if we have a low glycemic breakfast, then something that's protein carb balanced a couple hours later, protein carb balanced a couple hours later, and we have a healthy dinner and something healthy at the end of the day, look at how much better we feel. And I have someone who I want to bring on who actually experienced this, because this was really alive in our home. So John, are you there?
Of course, I'm here. My family is such a wonderful family. And let me just share a little bit about that with you guys. Thanks for having me on tonight, by the way. It's always fun to be here. Hypoglycemia runs in my family. So we get like super hangry. Like, it's not just sort of hangry, it's like super hangry. Like, mean things are said. Lots of frustrating things happen. Literally, one of the biggest blessings for starting this program with my family is how much better I felt, because I felt more balanced with my nutrition throughout the day, right? I didn't have those times where I was super like grumpy because I wasn't eating. And all of a sudden I started losing weight and feeling great. Literally within a couple of weeks, I was like, holy cow, I haven't felt this good in a long time. And learning how to balance out my nutrition and balance out what I was eating. And I mean, you guys, it was terrible. I had bad habits. I would go to, I'd eat out like twice a day. I don't know if any of you have that same habit. I was drinking like 2 energy drinks a day and just trying to figure out like, oh my gosh, why do I feel so crappy? But balancing out my blood sugar really helped me, not just with losing weight, but it helped my mental state too. It helped me really feel more balanced and even keeled throughout the day. And then I was able to start learning some other things like the power of choice over cheat and a few other things. And it's been awesome to watch, not just me, but the people around me, because now I don't have as many moments of being super, super hangry and frustrating my family while they deal with my off the chart angriness because I was super hungry. But I just also want to talk really quickly about the power of choice over cheat. This is kind of a little soapbox I like to get on. But you guys, our bodies, our brains are such a powerful tool. When we learn to choose what we're putting into our body instead of cheating or instead of making bad choices and feeling the guilt and shame that goes along with it, it empowers us not just with our nutrition, but in all aspects of our life. We can truly take little moments and say, you know what, I had a win today in this, and that's going to spill out into other areas of our life. You guys, our physiological response 2 choices versus cheating is crazy. Even if you're eating the exact same thing, but you choose to eat it versus cheating and eating it, your body responds differently to that input. So I just want to challenge you to, yeah, we know it's awesome to eat small meals a day, but also empower yourself by choosing to make these long-term choices instead of cheating. But also look at a big picture in the positive light. As you learn to choose, you're going to continue to choose and choose and choose, and you're going to make good choices. And then you're never, ever going to have to use the word diet again as the swear word way, right? I'm doing my diet. I'm going to try this diet every 6 months, every year, right? Because you don't have to worry about that anymore, because you've learned how to balance your life, balance your blood sugar, balance your mindset, and move forward. Thank you.
Another really cool, thank you, John. I so appreciate hearing your soapbox. I love it. And we hear it at home a lot too. And I can promise you our lives are all better when he's less hangry. As you can see, we all get along so well from that picture. But another thing that I love that we help people teach people is the simplicity of a healthy plate. I know some of you may have seen the government plate. It's not necessarily the same as this. But what we want to look at is that we're having about 25% of our plate is protein. And then vegetables about 25%. And I'm going to be honest with you, half of my plate is usually vegetables and 25% is protein. And then I maybe have actually probably like 60% of my plate is vegetables and 25% protein and 15% grains. I found in my simple eating lifestyle that if I have a little bit of starches, I'm happier than if I have a lot. So you get to play around with that a little bit, but this is just a great picture of what we recommend. And I love that this says you can increase your percentage of vegetables, because I really actually love vegetables and I love how I feel when I eat a lot of them. So why not feed my body all that healthy stuff? And you guys, this works at restaurants too. If you think about it, you get a huge thing of fajitas, right? There's tons of meat and veggies and all kinds of stuff on there. And you can eat everything on that skillet is like actually pretty darn healthy. So eating out becomes easier when you see this plate in your mind. And just living a healthy life becomes so much easier. Really quickly, I want to talk about the glycemic index. And these charts are in your Habits of Health book. And we want to stay on the green end of things, but we can also have a little bit in the lighter green and yellow just to stay healthy. As you can see, low glycemic is the greener. Lean means green, right? We want to stay lean, we stay in the green. So, and you can look through these on your own anytime, but I love looking at these and understanding that the one I really want to point out here is some of you might be on one of our weight loss programs and noticing you're not you're not encouraged to eat carrots, right? Well, look at carrots raw. They are a 30 on the glycemic index. Once we cook them, it changes their molecular structure and they become super sweet. That's why cooked carrots are so delicious. They're sugary. They are an 80 on the glycemic index, which is pretty high sugar. Something to think about. That's even higher than watermelon. So if you're going to have carrots, generally, yes, you can have cooked carrots once in a while, but that's not an all the time food. Have raw carrots over cooked carrots. Choose some of the lower glycemic fruit choices like berries and grapefruits and cherries and tomatoes instead of our pineapple, watermelon, cantaloupe, and some of the other higher things that you see there. So I just wanted to give you some examples of some lower glycemic options.
I love that, Kat. Thank you so much. And that was really eye-opening to me when I learned all this. Maybe most of you are super smart and already know what the glycemic index was, but when I came in, I was like, oh, I had kept hearing about that, but I thought, oh, that sounds really complicated, and I've already learned too many other things. I don't want to learn about the glycemic index until I started this program. And then I learned that those numbers are telling you the effect that it has on your blood sugar. So that little chart that Kat was showing where it had the smaller waves, if you are eating things lower on the glycemic index, it's going to keep you in those smaller waves instead of going up and down. So that's really empowering to learn. And we just want to just further that a little bit as you're using your knowledge that Kat talked about, the 9-inch plate rule, and then the glycemic index, and you're putting together your healthy meals as you move into the optimization phase. You'll want to make sure that you're having small snacks in between your meals, or small meals, whatever you want to call them. If they're small meals or you call them snacks. But another thing that you've been training as you've been maybe on the 5-in-1 or one of the other programs is that you're having a perfect balance of proteins and carbs during that time, either in your fuelings or in your lean and green. So we want to continue that. And so ask your coach, or you can look in the Habits of Health book and the Life book. They've got lists there of proteins and carbs for snacks that you can choose to pair together. And that is so powerful. Every time you have a carb, you want to make sure you have some protein to balance it out, to keep that blood sugar spike from going on. And talk about a powerful tool. Let's see. And then always one of the greatest tools going forward is to remember and to know that even once you reach your weight loss goal, that you can continue to use your fuelings to keep your metabolism going and to keep that blood sugar steady throughout the day, and to have a simple way where you're not having to spend a lot of time or calculate anything or prep anything. They're just ready to go for you. And I know I have utilized these over the last 6 years, and they still help keep my life super, super simple. So we hope that you have gained some knowledge on the underlying principles of how to build healthy meals and snacks, and that you're feeling a little less frightened of eating healthy and discovering that it can actually maybe be more simple and more fun than you thought. And if you have any questions or takeaways that have come up during this time, we encourage you to share those with your coach or the person who invited you here. And we just want to thank you for joining us on our Healthy Together time. But it's not quite over yet. We still have a couple things coming up if you want to join in. If you want to learn a little bit more about what it's like to help your friends and family who maybe have been noticing as you've been on your journey the changes, and you have that heart or just some curiosity around what that would be like, you can stay right here in this Zoom room, and we're going to be sharing a little bit more about what that's like and some of the details that go along with it. Or if you are a new coach, there's going to be a breakout room that you can join in, and you'll just click that when you see it pop up, and we'll be having a little training session called Coaching Quick Start that Kat will be leading. So we just want to thank you, and it was so fun to meet with you tonight.
Thanks everybody for joining us tonight.